Very good morning, students. The last class we have discussed nutrition, definition we have discussed, and mode of nutrition. There are two modes, autotrophic mode and heterotrophic mode. The detail we have discussed. Then differentiate between the autotroph and heterotroph, and finally we have discussed how nutrition occurs in unicellular organism like amoeba and paramecium. We have discussed. Today we are going to discuss about nutrition in human being. How nutrition is occurring in human being, we are going to discuss. So this is a digestive system of human being, an alimentary canal of the human being. So what is alimentary canal? Alimentary canal. So alimentary canal means long extended tube from mouth to anus. From mouth to anus. From mouth to anus is made up of a long and extended tube. This is called digestive system or digestive tract or alimentary canal. So water comes under digestive system. What is the digestive system? The alimentary canal made the digestive system. So water comes under digestive system. The first one is mouth. Second one is esophagus. Esophagus. Okay, O is silent. We have to pronunciate esophagus. And third one is stomach. Fourth, small intestine. Fifth, large intestine. Sixth, anus. Okay, so these comes under the digestive tract or digestive organs. And some glands are involved for the digestion that are called as the digestive glands. So there are three types of digestive glands. The first one is salivary glands. Second one is liver. And third one is Pancreas. So there are three digestive glands are there. The three digestive glands very important for the digestion of food. Okay. So definition for the alimentary canal. So what are the alimentary canals and the digestive glands? Okay. From mouth to anus. Mouth to anus, that is mouth, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, anus. Up to this call it as a digestive tract or digestive organs. Okay, now we are going to see step by step. Take a hint, don't forget. This should be written in the classwork. Next, one by one, step by step, we are going to discuss. The first one is mouth. 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 So the digestion starts from mouth. Digestion starts from mouth only. The important, very short answer question. Which is the site digestion start? Which is the site digestion complete? So the digestion start from mouth, ends in small intestine. Okay, now what will happen in the mouth? The mouth contains teeth. The mouth contains teeth. What is the role of the teeth? It cutting the food. It cutting the food and grinding the food into thoroughly. Okay, so the cutting the food into smaller pieces, and later it is grinding the food. And also there is a tongue in our oral cavity. What is the role of the tongue? The tongue role is chewing the food and also rolling the food, to roll the food thoroughly, to roll the food thoroughly. So there is a function for teeth and also tongue. Okay, and next one is salivary glands. Salivary gland. The salivary glands located in the mouth only, in the cheek. In this region, there are 3 pairs of salivary gland is there. So, what is the role of this salivary gland? The salivary gland secretes saliva. So, what is saliva? Saliva, when we eat, when we see a food, automatically the water or fluid like substances secreted in our mouth. No? When we see the food or when we imagine the food, automatically in our mouth there is a secretion of the fluid substances or watery like substances. The watery like substances call it as a saliva. Okay, the saliva contains enzyme. The saliva contains enzyme. The enzyme called as salivary amylase. Very important one. Salivary amylase. Again, the salivary gland located in the mouth. Okay, the salivary gland secretes saliva, is a watery or fluid like substances. The fluid like substances contain an enzyme. Already we have discussed what is enzyme. A biocatalyst or called it as an enzyme. We have discussed. Okay, so the saliva contains enzyme or biocatalyst, that is called it as a salivary amylase. Now, what is the role of salivary amylase? Role of salivary amylase. What is the function of salivary amylase? The salivary amylase break down the carbohydrate or starch into sugar molecules. Very important one. The salivary amylase role or breakdown or function is to break down the starch into sugar molecule. Here what is starch? Starch is a type of carbohydrate. It is a complex sugar. And when the action of salivary amylase involved on the starch, it is converted into a simple sugar. The role of salivary amylase to break down the starch into sugar. This is an important question. Don't forget. What is the role of salivary amylase to break down the starch into sugar? But what is starch? It's a complex molecule, complex sugar into simple sugar. That is the role. Okay, here saliva is important. Salivary amylase role and salivary amylase and the role of salivary amylase or function of salivary amylase. Okay, these are very short answer question. Just note it down. Don't forget everything. You have to note it down because each and every line from this nutrition is very important. Because I told you already in the previous class. You take a previous year question paper and if you check the 5 mark, no, compulsory one 5 mark question asked from the topic of nutrition. So it is very important topic compared than other life process. Next, there is activity. Okay, this activity is given in the topic of nutrition in the human being. There are two test tubes. Test tube A and test tube B. Okay, in these two test tubes, we have to take starch. Starch. Here also starch. Starch. Okay, and the starch solution is 1%. Okay, and you have to add some amount of iodine solution or saliva plus saliva. I told what is saliva. Okay, here there is no saliva. In test tube A there is a saliva and a starch solution. In test tube B only a starch solution is there but not saliva. Now we add a iodine solution. What is iodine solution? We discussed already. The iodine solution used for to test the starch in the presence of food material. Okay, now you add some amount of iodine solution to the test tube A and test tube B. So in these two test tubes, which test tube will indicate bluish black, that is presence of starch? Again, in these two test tubes, which test tube indicates presence of starch? Okay, the test tube B will indicate presence of starch. The test tube B only will indicate presence of starch because test tube A contains starch as well as saliva. Okay. So what is the role of the saliva? The saliva break down the starch into sugar molecule. So if the sugar molecule only present in the test tube A, so the simple sugar will not react with the iodine solution and there is no indication of bluish black color. But in test tube B, only starch solution is there, there is no saliva. So without saliva, the starch is continuous state, starch. Okay, so when you add iodine solution, the starch react with the iodine solution and indicate blue black color, that is bluish black. So is there the bluish black? That is an indication of presence of starch. So in these two test tubes, only test tube B contains starch. Okay, so this is an activity, the question will come. I told you already, from the activity, the question will be arised. Okay, so we should not think always from theory only question will come. Sometimes from the activity also question will come. So this is very important one. So there are two test tubes. Test tube B contains or indicates presence of starch, not A. Okay, next. So mouth we have discussed, tongue we have discussed. Next one is esophagus. Esophagus. So what is esophagus? Is a long extended tube is called as a esophagus. The long extended tube from the mouth. After taken food, from the mouth the food is travel through the another one tube-like structure that is called as a esophagus. It is also called as a food pipe. Food pipe. Food pipe. Okay, so in the esophagus there is an important movement occur, peristaltic movement will occur. Is very important, very short answer question. Peristaltic movement will occur in esophagus, from the esophagus. What is peristaltic movement? when the food is travel, for example, this is a food pipe. So when the food is travels in the esophagus or food pipe, there is a rhythmic contraction and relaxation along the gut. When the food is travel, the food pipe is there, no, there is a contraction and relaxation occurs along the gut. That movement is called as a peristatic movement. Let me talk in Tamil. ஒரு பெரிய டியூப் எடுத்துக்கோங்க, ரப்பர் டியூப். அந்த ரப்பர் டியூப்ல if you drop a ball, and the ball move ஆக the lining of the food pipe is there, no, it will contract and relax. சுருங்கி விரியும். Okay, that rhythmic contraction and relaxation of the gut is called as a peristatic movement. It is a very important question. Rhythmic contraction and relaxation along the gut, that movement is called as a peristatic movement. Here, what is gut? What is gut? From mouth to anus, the movement will occur. That movement is called as a peristatic movement. So the mouth to anus part also called as a gut. Okay, so the gut will occur, that peristatic movement will occur mouth to anus. Okay, sorry, from esophagus to the anus. So the rhythmic contraction. Okay, again there is a rubber tube. If you drop a ball move ஆக in the lining of the food pipe என்ன ஆகும், அப்படியே மூவ் ஆகும், எக்ஸ்பேண்ட் ஆகும். பால் மூவ் ஆனதும், பால் வர்றப்ப பால் மூவ் ஆனதும் நார்மல் ஆகும். பால் மோடியும் மூவ் ஆகிறப்ப எக்ஸ்பேண்ட் ஆகும், பால் கிராஸ் ஆகி போனதும் நார்மல். ஸோ இந்த மாதிரி கான்ட்ராக்ஷன் அண்ட் ரிலாக்ஸேஷன் occurs along the gut. The gut, that is called as a peristatic movement. The gut means what? The alimentary canal is also called as a gut. Okay, and significance. What is meaning of significant? Significance means important. So what is the importance of this peristatic movement? The importance is forward the food molecules. Forward the food molecules or forward the food. Okay, so if there is no peristatic movement along the gut, there is no movement of the food. If the food is not moved, how it reach to the stomach and how it is digested and how we get energy? So that is not possible. So the peristatic movement significance is forward the food. Okay, this is another one important, very short answer question. Next, the esophagus is over. After esophagus, that is stomach. This is the stomach. So yeah, stomach is a muscular organ. So when there is a food that is expand, when there is a food in the stomach, it just expand. When there is no food, that shrinks. Okay, so the stomach is a muscular organ. So when you eat food, any type of food, and finally reach to the stomach, and stomach only stores of food. So when there is a food, it is expand. When there is no food, it is comes normal position. Okay, so this is stomach. Okay, then the stomach contains digestive juices. Okay, the stomach contains some digestive juices that are, the first one is HCl. The second one is pepsin. Pepsin. And third one is mucus. Mucus. So this is the stomach. The stomach wall, this region secrete some gastric juices. Some gastric juices. So that are HCl, pepsin and mucus. Okay, now it's very important one compared than others. What is the role of the gastric juices? What is the role of the gastric juices? The first role, HCl. HCl means we know already hydrochloric acid. What is the role of HCl? The HCl creates acidic medium. HCl create acidic medium. So where? In the stomach. The stomach should have a acidic medium. Then only the food will be started to digest. Okay. So that acidic medium created by the HCl. And the second one is pepsin. Pepsin. So what is the role of the pepsin? The pepsin break down protein. Break down protein. It start to break down the protein. And third one is mucus. Third one is mucus. Mucus. So what is the mucus? So you see, if you touch the oral cavity, you can feel some colloidal or jelly-like substance. If you touch the oral cavity or mouth cavity, you can feel some jelly or some gummy-like substances. That is called as a mucus. So what is the role of the mucus? The mucus protect inner lining of the stomach wall under normal conditions. Okay, so that is the function of the mucus, because what I told you, in the stomach there is a acidic medium, acid nature. So if it is acid nature, what will happen? It damages the inner lining of the stomach. These are made up of the muscles, no? It ruptures the inner lining of the stomach. So what will happen? There is a injuries that we generally called ulcer. So when we are in hungry, what we feel? We feel like a stomach pain, no? What is the reason? Because when there is no food, here the synthesis of HCl occur more than sufficient amount. So if the HCl amount will increase, what will happen? It will damage the inner lining of the stomach wall. Okay, that's why we get a stomach pain. So when we eat food, no, we don't get a stomach pain, because the food is dilute the HCl. Okay, so if we don't take a food in a right time, no, in right time, what will happen? The HCl synthesis will increase. Then what will happen? It is rupture or damage the stomach wall, and we get injuries on the inner lining of the stomach. That is generally called as a ulcer. Okay, so these are secreted by the stomach, and also the role of the HCl and the role of the pepsin and the role of the mucus. These three are very important, 1 mark as well as a 2 mark. Kindly note it down. Next, here the food is entered, okay, and whatever we discuss, everything will happen here. So next food is transferred from stomach to the small intestine. Stomach to the small intestine, the food will transfer. Okay, so here in the stomach region there is a gastric sphincter. In the stomach region there is a gastric sphincter. Gastric sphincter muscle. Gastric sphincter muscle. Where it is located? End of the stomach. There is a gastric sphincter muscle. So what is the role of the muscle? The role of the gastric sphincter muscle? The gastric sphincter muscle is regulate the food from stomach to the small intestine. From the stomach to the small intestine, it regulates the food into smaller amount. Will not go in a mass level. So from the stomach to small intestine, okay, the food is regulated very little amount. That is regulated by the muscle that is called as a gastric sphincter muscle, where it is located end of the stomach. Okay, so after the stomach we are going to see small intestine. Small intestine. Okay, in the small intestine, all the digestion completed. Complete. So what is digestion? We discussed already. Digestion means to break down the complex food particle into simpler and absorbable form, that is called as a digestion. So the digestion starts from the mouth and occur in the stomach, and some amount of digestion occurs in the small intestine, and finally all the type of food particles, that is carbohydrate or fat or protein, everything complete digestion completed in the small intestine. Okay, so that is a small intestine or large intestine. What will happen, how it is arranged, you know, it is extensively coiling. Extensively coiling means it is like a coiled like structures. It is like a coil like structures. It is not in a straight. It is coiled. Coiled sulla. Okay, the small intestine. The small intestine, the first one is herbivores are there. Herbivores. You know what is herbivores? Herbivore means what? Plants eating animals called herbivores. The herbivores having longest small intestine. Herbivores having longest small intestine, not largest, longest means romba neelama irukum. Okay, carnivores. So what is carnivores? The carnivores which eat only the meat eaters, meat eating animal called carnivore, having short small intestine. Again, the small intestine now we are discussing. So the small intestine and large intestine is extensively coiling. In the small intestine, digestion complete. In herbivores, there is a longest small intestine, and carnivores, there is a short small intestine. Question will come, why? Herbivore having longest small intestine. Why carnivores having the short small intestine? Question will come. The reason is the herbivore eats plants. No, what is there in the plant? The plant contains the chemicals called as a cellulose. Cellulose. Okay, what is cellulose? the cell the cellulose is the type of carbohydrate which is present in the cell wall. So to break down the cellulose, need longest small intestine for the herbivores, because the cellulose will not digest easily. It takes a long time for digestion. That's why the cattle, you see, when it gets the food, no, it takes very fastly and stored. So when it is free and it is vomit the food and again it chewing. Okay, the ruminant animals we see, no, the previous standard you studied ruminant animals. The same, the herbivores eats cellulose. Where it is cellulose? In the plants. So for digestion of the cellulose need longest small intestine. But the carnivore maximum eat fat. So for digesting the fat, enough very short small intestine. So that's why the herbivore having the longest small intestine and the carnivore having very shortest small intestine. So important. Okay, so small intestine over. And also the small intestine also secretes some intestinal juices. What is intestinal juices? Which is responsible for the breakdown the food called as juices. So it is from the intestine, so it is called the intestinal juices. Okay, next we see liver. The digestive gland is there, no, that we see. The first digestive gland is salivary gland, we seen already, and the second one is liver, we see. Okay, it's the liver. Okay, so the liver secretes bile juice. Okay, and bile salt. Like salt like structure, bile salt. Okay, and the next one is pancreas. So what is the pancreas? The pancreas is a leaf-like structure which is present in the base of or below the stomach. Is the leaf-like structure is a pancreas. So and what is the liver? The side opposite to the stomach there is a gland, that is liver. That liver secretes bile juice. Okay, so this is the liver. And here I mentioned gall bladder. What is a gall bladder? Gall bladder means is a bulb-like structure. The bile juice are secreted or stored in the gall bladder. And bile duct. What is a bile duct? The bile is carried by the canal-like structure. The bile is carried by the tube-like structure. The tube-like structure is called as a bile duct. Again, the liver secretes bile juice or breakdown of food. Okay, which is stored in a bulb-like structure. This is called as a gall bladder. Okay, and what is bile duct? The bile juice carried by the canal-like structure. What is duct? That means canal-like structure. This is called bile duct. Okay, and the bile salt also responsible for the breakdown of the food. Okay, and pancreas. So below the stomach there is a leaf-like structure that is called as the pancreas. The pancreas secrete pancreatic juice. The pancreas secrete pancreatic juice. So what are the pancreatic juice? The first one is trypsin. The second one is lipase. Trypsin and lipase. Here, what is the role of this trypsin? The trypsin break down the protein. break down the protein. So we already discussed the protein, that pepsin break down the protein we see now the same. Where it is the pepsin is secreted by the stomach wall. There we discussed pepsin break down the protein we discussed already. The protein will not digested complete in the stomach. So it is started. Okay, and when there is a trypsin available in the small intestine, what will happen? Then only protein digested completely. The protein break down into amino acid. Amino acid. What is amino acid? The unit of protein is called as amino acid. Again, we discussed already about the pepsin which is secreted by the stomach. There we seen it is break down protein. Yes, that's correct only, but it is from the stomach. It is started from the stomach. Okay, so when the protein should digested completely, when that is possible, when the trypsin is added. Trypsin is added. Okay, and lipase. Lipase. So what is lipase? Is digestive juices. The lipase break down the fat into fatty acids plus glycerol. The fat into fatty acid plus glycerol. Okay, again the pancreatic juices, trypsin and lipase. The trypsin break down the protein into amino acid. And the next one is lipase. What is the lipase? The lipase is a pancreatic juicer to break down the fat into fatty acid and glycerol. This process is called as a emulsification. Emulsification. What is emulsification? Emulsification means to break down the large fat globules into smaller one. That is called as a emulsification. Again, the emulsification means to break down of large fat globules into smaller one. Which is large fat globules? The fat is a large, complex, and break down into simpler one. That is fatty acid and glycerol. Fatty acid and glycerol. Okay. For example, when the food is in the stomach, it is in the acidic nature. When the food is in the stomach, that is acidic nature. So when the food enter into the small intestine, that should be converted into the alkaline nature. So acidic to alkaline nature. So when the food in alkaline nature only, that time only the digestion will completed. So the alkaline nature responsible is this bile salts. And also sometimes this pancreatic juice also is responsible. So the bile salt also responsible for the action of breakdown of fat into fatty acid and glycerol, and also gives a alkaline nature. Alkaline nature. So we have discussed liver, gall bladder, bile duct, pancreas, everything we have discussed. Okay, and trypsin and lipase, role of trypsin and the role of lipase we have discussed, and emulsification. Emulsification means a large fat globules into smaller one. Which is smaller one? Fatty acid and glycerol, smaller one, by the action of enzyme lipase. Okay, that's all. And another one question will come. So what are the end product of carbohydrates First one is end product of protein, end product of fat. Question will come. Okay, so where the digestion completes and what are the end product of carbohydrate, protein and fat. Okay, the first one is end product of carbohydrate is glucose. Glucose. So carbohydrate is a complex. Glucose is a simple sugar. It is a complex sugar, it is a simple sugar. So before digestion it is a complex sugar. After digestion it is converted in a simple sugar. And protein is breakdown into amino acids. Amino acids. And fat breakdown into fatty acids plus glycerol. Fatty acid plus glycerol. So these are the end products of carbohydrate, protein and fats. So where this occurs? In the small intestine. How this occurs? With the help of intestinal. These intestines secrete some juices, intestinal juices. And from the liver and pancreas, the liver secretes bile juice. The bile juice comes through the bile duct and enter into the small intestine. And the pancreas secrete pancreatic juice, and the pancreatic juice also enter into the small intestine. So all the digestive juices and the digestive enzymes are finally reached into the small intestine and responsible for the breakdown of. Okay, the question will come. What is the role of enzymes to break down the complex into simpler molecules, simpler and absorptible form? And what is the role of acid? Here acid means only that is HCl. What is the role of acid? To create the acidic medium for the digestion. To create an acidic medium for the digestion. Okay, so small intestine is over. Next one is large intestine. So what is large intestine? The undigested food particles. The undigested food particles are sent to the large intestine. So the large intestine role is absorbs water. Very important one. Absorbs water. The excess amount of water is absorbed by the large intestine. Again, the large intestine is the digestive tract which stores undigested food particles. And if excess amount of water is there and also reabsorbed by the large intestine. And finally, anus. What is anus? Temporarily undigested food particles stores here. This is called it as a anus. Okay, rectum and reach to the anus. Anus is a small opening. So the undigested food particles are stored in a sac-like structure that is called it as a rectum. Actually it is not given, but here rectum is there. After the rectum there is a anus. Anus is a small opening which is responsible for egestion. What is egestion? Egestion means elimination of the waste material. Ingestion means intake of food. Egestion means removal of waste material. So under here, what is the waste material? The undigested food particle is called as a waste material. Okay, here there is another one muscle is there. What the muscle name is? Anal sphincter muscle. Anal sphincter muscle. Before we seen gastric sphincter, no, this is anal sphincter. Anal sphincter muscle is present in the anus. Regulate the waste from the rectum. Regulate the waste from the rectum. At the same time, will not release every waste, all waste. So it is regulated. Little amount of food it is released through the anus with help of the muscle that is called as a anal sphincter muscle. Okay, again, Today we have discussed about nutrition in a human being. So the nutrition in a human being, digestive tract or digestive system involves. So what are the digestive system? From the mouth to anus includes the digestive system. So from the mouth, the tongue is there, teeth is there. What is the role of teeth and tongue? And the esophagus, in the esophagus, peristatic movement occur. And what is the significance of peristatic movement? And liver, pancreas, gall bladder we have discussed, and finally small intestine, large intestine, anus, everything we have discussed. Okay, so here important one is diagram. Diagram is most important. Okay, you take the previous year question paper. So without a nutrition topic, you cannot see any questions. Okay, compulsory your question from the nutrition topic. Okay, so this is very important one. I am telling you, I'll send you the worksheet. More questions will be there from the topic because very important one. Kindly you complete the worksheet, and very important one is read the textbook line by line and note it down. So when we meet through the online session, the time clarify the doubts. Again, the textbook reading is important, and also completing the worksheet is very important. Kindly you complete without fail. Thank you.